very pleasant evening to you out there. Thank you for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on ECWA Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada, and I'm glad you could join us on this beautiful edition. Today we are going to be looking at the presidential election petition verdict. The court has upheld Tinubu's victory, and I'm not doing this alone. I have Dr. Emmanuel Ideni Shaibu, who is the millennium entrepreneur, and allow me to call him the public affairs analyst as well as the financial expert. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Good evening, Judge Jakada, and good evening, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
It feels good. It feels really good to actually have you, despite your busy schedule. I can tell how busy you are, but you still created time to talk to us and to speak about issues that are burning in our nation, Nigeria. And just within the week, we saw how that the NLC, talking about the Nigerian Labour Congress, went on 2 days warning strike. Banks were closed. Some public organizations were also shut down. People were like, oh, a lot of conversation around it. Why the reoccurring strike? People are talking about, oh, of what significance it is. I've heard people talk about, oh, this body has been compromised among other issues, and not forgetting that it's 100 days already into this administration, talking about the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Nigerians are still looking, hoping, and being optimistic. I remember when the president addressed the country and he was like, oh, please be patient. Can you bear with us? Things are actually going to get better. We had conversations around billions that were shared at the National Assembly. At some point, suggestion about the sharing of 8,000 naira to families in how many months, and people kept arguing back and forth, and it's like the issue is down. TUC came up with their own again. Oh, we are coming out. They are pulling out from the NLC, saying to some extent the federal government have done something. They are giving 2 billion naira to governors as forms of palliative and all of that. But I would really like to get your comment on the 100 days. How far so far? What is your take on this current administration like so far?
Thank you very much. And to say that if we don't bring these issues to the front burner, a lot of people would not know that either something is being done or nothing is being done. That's number one. First of all, this is an administration that took over from an administration that is of the same party. So you would expect that there is a seamless transition because the APC government handing over to another APC elected government. But the truth of the matter is, in leadership, I usually tell people, once you are not on the driver's seat, you don't have a perfect view of how to take control. You know, the mantra that brought the President Commander-in-Chief, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was that it is my turn. It is my turn. That's the interpretation of what a Milokan means. It is my turn. Because he unarguably walked behind the scene to ensure that Buhari won the election in his first term and second term. And being the national leader of that party, he was also behind the scene doing a lot of things. But you and I may not be privy to a boardroom arrangement they might have. And some people say that was the arrangement, maybe it was an unwritten agreement, but here we are. He is now the President Commander-in-Chief through an election process. And here we are, 100 days into his administration as the president. And I dare say that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu did not have a full grasp of what it is to be the president of the country before he took that seat.
Why did you say that?
Saying that because some of the decisions he has taken does not align with the fact that somebody is prepared to rule. You won an election in February. It took you almost 60 days after your swearing in to appoint your ministers. If you won and you were given certificate of return almost 24 hours after, then your cabinet should have been ready. So that when the 10th assembly was inaugurated, you send the list. But he delayed, of course. And one of the promises that he made as part of his campaign promises was that he will run a very slim cabinet. But here we have 48 ministers, even more than what Buhari had. Now, 100 days in office, he has made some pronouncements. Chief among the pronouncement was the removal of oil subsidy, which he made on the 29th of May. and that sent a lot of signal. What leaders of nations do not understand, or they don't know the import, is that a mere pronouncement, even a bedroom discussion, becomes a national issue. That's one thing the president, commander-in-chief of any country should understand. So you would have expected that even before handing over, he would have done wide consultations. I take you back to the 2023 budget that was submitted in October. It was clear in that budget that there will be no subsidy from 1st of July. So whether it was an Atiku or an Obi that won, there was nothing they would have done otherwise, because it's the budget. Now, in that same budget that was signed into law, that was proposed that the subsidy will stop on the 30th of June, were there provisions in the budget for how it will cushion the effect of the removal of subsidy? The answer is no. So you would now wonder what was in the minds of the executive while they were sending that to the legislators. Now it got to the legislators, they didn't raise that. They didn't raise that. You are taking away subsidy. What will be the cost of fueling? And it will affect every services or product. Nobody thought of that. But smart businessmen started looking ahead. If you remove this subsidy, cost of transportation, cost of goods, cost of this will be affected. Now, 100 days in office, he has taken some steps. He has made the pronouncement. Now, he suspended some amendments in the Finance Act 2023 and set up a task force to look at it critically. Many people do not know that that arrangement made FIRS to extend the months of submitting annual returns to 31st of August, which should have been 30th of June. Because even close to 30th of June, many companies couldn't file because the portal had issues, there was network problem, was not accepting card payments. So based on that, that was extended so that many people will be. Now, I told people who care to listen that because he is an accountant, and with what he has done in Lagos State with tax, we should expect more people being brought into the tax net, or more tax being levied on Nigerians, and that has already started. Because a very simple example, if you have a car and I'm transferring my car from myself to you, all you need to do is to get proof of ownership once and for all. But now you have to do proof of ownership every year you renew your car documents, which should have been once for the ownership of the car until some other time when somebody else is owning that car. That's a way of generating more money for the country to the Joint Tax Board and other states board of internal revenue. That's one. Secondly, thirdly rather, he unbundled some ministries. He splitted them, maybe for governance purpose or for better administration, and that alone in itself expands the cost of governance, which is a major problem. We are spending over 90% of our revenue in servicing our debts. That is humongous. Now, you know, it was the former administration that started saying they will borrow so amount of money and 8,000 will be paid. But when the noise became so much, they had to hold on that. Now the question is, Nigerians in the first 100 days have not felt the impact of a caring government. That's the truth. Whether it is APC, whether it is PDP, whether it is whatever. Because some of these decisions that have been taken, if it were a PDP or a Labour, they would have still taken this decision. For example, taking away subsidy, because there's nowhere they. But you would have made provision that will cushion the effect. I usually ask, you say you want to provide transport for civil servants. How many civil servants do we have in Nigeria compared to those of us that are not civil servants or that are not even working in any private sector of the economy? And we are Nigerians, and we are the ones that even voted more. Because if you say it's only civil servants, how many civil servants voted? How many civil servants do we have? So if you look at it critically, you will discover that we have only paid lip services. Lip services. And more is yet to come, because every ministry that has been created, of course, more staffs will be deployed, vehicles will be. You saw how much was given to the ministers to buy cars. Some of them bulletproof cars, some of them not bulletproof cars. Some of them are former governors. They've made their money, they have their resources, genuinely or not genuinely. But the truth of the matter is, there is a nation to be run, and there is governance to deploy. Whether the people you are bringing on board voted or not, it is Nigerians. And the exchange rate, for instance, or the price of fuel is not different for APC members, neither is it different from PDP members. True. We go to the same open market. The central bank is not central bank of APC, it's Central Bank of Nigeria. And it's annoying to say that you booted out Emefiele and you left the deputy governors of the central bank, who are part and parcel of what Emefiele did.
You know, you made mention of a point that is really striking to me, talking about Nigerians not feeling the impact of a caring government.
True.
Like, this is what we see on the streets. You know, the inflation, you go to market, prices of goods have really hiked. What you used to buy for 1,000 naira, you get it at 5,000 naira.
True.
Like, increase by over 200% on some
True.
of these goods,
if not more.
And then transportation and all of that, and all is prior to the announcement of the first subsidy removal. And you know that the NLC reoccurring strike, warning strike coming back, and all of that, all the meeting, conversation with federal government, modalities being put in place. I recalled when the committee was set up against the strike, after the meeting, they said all the needs, all the demands of NLC were splitted to short time, long time, and even mid-term. And Nigerians were really hopeful that, oh, if NLC, the Nigerian Labour Congress, are actually coming out to protest, to fight, to stand on our behalf, then something good is going to come out of it. But what we keep seeing is back and forth, back and forth. And at the end of the day, it's always at the detriment of the common man. Just within the week, 2 days warning strike, and we saw how that some of these public organizations was really shut down. Like, people struggle with power supply and all of that. At the end of the day, it's always at the detriment of the common man. Like, what do you make of this reoccurring strike? It has been, the 2 days warning strike was called off and they returned back to work, but again, where the Minister of Labour, ours from Plateau State, Barrister Simon Bakula, long addressed NLC saying they should call up a 2 days warning strike, they are going to do something about it and all of that. But I'm just concerned about this issue of strike, protests, back and forth, even though some people will tell you, oh, that's the only language the government understands. But is that really the way out? What impact does this have?
Let me refresh your memory that there was a splinter group of NLC some years ago. And this, the current NLC chairman, was the one that walked out on that, in that conference, and created United Labour Congress that ran for almost 10 years. Because he felt he should be the NLC president. Joe Ajero, he was in Jos. He worked with the Nigerian Electricity and Nigerian Electricity Power Authority. No, he's a labor man, he's an activist and all that. But some few years ago, they reconciled, and he was compensated with being NLC president after Ayuba Waba has run his tenure for two tenures. Now, whether we agree or not, labor, as it is in Nigeria today, has been compromised. That's why you hear what TUC is saying. In case you do not know, in the course of the week, a former two-term governor of a southwest state and a former minister said that it was only for political reasons they demonstrated against Jonathan. Governor Fayemi said it, that 2012 demonstration they did was just political. That means they knew that fuel subsidy should have been removed then. Now here we are saying that subsidy has been a scam. The Buhari himself, during his campaign, said subsidy was scam, but he came and superintended over that scam for 8 years as Minister of Petroleum with a Minister of State. Tinubu is repeating the same thing. There's no Minister of Petroleum substantive. It's Heineken Lopobiri that is Minister of State for Petroleum. So what is the interest? That's the question we should be asking. What is the interest of the President Commander-in-Chief in the Ministry of Petroleum? Now, many Nigerians are not finding it funny. The negative impact of labor strike, if they don't know, it has negative impact on the economy. Monies are lost because the stock exchange will not work. You are projecting the country in a bad light. Let me tell you something. Somebody trekked from Bukuru to my office in Secretariat Junction, a married man with 3 children. And he had only 100 naira left. And that he's going to trek to a certain level and enter vehicle with the 100 naira. A married man with 3 children. In this present economy, this just happened in July. He came to my office. I had to give him as little as 1,000 naira. And he couldn't believe that somebody will give you 1,000 naira for no reason and the person will tell him to go. That is just one of the 220 million Nigerians. How many of us are earning so much that we can even be of help to others. Don't forget, ASU is being owed 8 months of their salary, which, if it is paid today, has been devalued. Because the time value of money has increased. So even if they pay them 50,000, if that was somebody's salary, now the value is as useless as zero after decimal point. That's number one. And they're still struggling with that. ASU is there, NLC is there, TUC is there. Don't forget, ASU also had a splinter group while their strike was going on. And federal government settled some of those lecturers. This is a hydra-headed issue. Now, the present Minister of Labour, unfortunately, does not have the capacity to deal with the labour issues. He does not. Because, in fact, NLC said it, he didn't superintend over their discussion. And that's why they didn't honor his meeting. And there are people by international labour law that are statutory to address labour matters. They are statutory. And everybody in that space know it too well. So the question is this: is Labour being too ambitious by their requests? That's number one. Number two, what is the import of the 30,000 naira minimum wage take home of a civil servant? Recently, the House of National Assembly said their budget is as it is. They are not cutting their budget. They said it. The Senate President and the Speaker. Now, these are people that went on holiday for 2 million holiday allowance. That 2 million naira is somebody's annual salary. These are people that are voted in to represent our interests. Don't forget, they have loans to buy bulletproof cars. They have loans to buy furniture. They have loans for their houses. They have loans for their wardrobe. They have loans for their newspaper. And they are represented. They were elected representatives to represent us. Now, by the time you look at all this issue, the common man on the street will think he is being taken for a ride. And if he has the opportunity to do the unthinkable, he or she is going to do it, because basic need of just feeding your family, putting food on the table, electricity, whether I like it or not, electricity tariff has gone up. We're not shouting again. We're just accepting it. But how many people can accept it? Now, even the electricity that is available, it is being load shedded because it cannot go around 24 hours for everybody. That is cost. And who bears it? Now, the question will be, is the president that claims it's his turn not seeing this thing? If he's seeing it, what steps have you taken? Nigerians are hungry.
Well, recently we saw that about 2 billion naira was shared to some governors, and this is in line as regards cushioning the effect of the fuel subsidy and then reducing the pain and suffering.
The question would be, 5 billion naira was given to each governor of each state, and 48% is given, 52% is loan, meaning they will pay back, and some bags of grains, rice were distributed to state. The question will be, as far as the president is concerned, he has done his part. And that's why I usually say a state governor is more important than the president of a nation, because the constitution empowers him so much to be the chief executive and business manager of his state. That's the truth. Have you managed the resources of your state? Yes, the allocation comes unabated, it comes undenied. How have you been able to generate internal revenue to cushion whatever is coming from the center? This is like a bazaar, a bonanza that was given to the state. I'm not sure many of the governors expected that these monies were coming. Some states were owing pension, some states were owing salaries like Plateau, Benue, and some other states. How much of it have been settled? And if they are settled, how has it helped them to the civil servants to meet their needs? These are the questions that each governor will answer. The president has to look at it, because there are civil servants that are federal civil servants that are even in some states. Now, how was there any modality that was put out to share this palliative? Is it the rice? Is this the corn? Is this the millet? Was there any, okay, should we say how many million of people are in the Plateau State? Let's divide it by the number of people. Let everybody go. I did some calculation. You discover that some people will be getting 1,600 naira if we are to go by that calculation. But the truth of the matter is this, and like I say, if the president had a very serious economic team, do you know how much 100 million can do in a local government if you put up a factory? Give each local government 100 million.
I think that has always been my concern, because before the removal of the subsidy, you keep hearing, we have been spending a lot for fuel subsidy at the detriment of education, at the detriment of health, at the detriment of infrastructure, among other things. So Nigerians were hopeful, if you are removing, then we should feel the impact in other sectors. Education should be accessible, health should be accessible, let's see infrastructure in place. But currently, as we speak, Nance is already threatening protests because of the increase in tuition fees. When you go to some tertiary institutions, the increase is even over 100%. And students are saying even 25,000 in some, like Unilag, that they pay, they struggle to pay. And now you're increasing it by over 100%. How do you expect us to pay? If you're hoping on our parents, there are salaries that have been stagnated, some that have not been paid for months, for years. How do you expect us to pay? So are you comfortable with this 2 billion shared rice or 5 billion shared and then rice? How long will it go compared to the increase in tuition fee, the increase in transportation, the lack of accessibility to health and other things? Is that enough? Even though people have talked about policies, usually people have to go through tough times before you start enjoying the impact of any policy or like this, the removal of the first subsidy. But what can be done? Because truly, people are in pain. People are suffering. You just gave an example of a man that trekked from Bukuru to Secretariat. That's a long distance. Yeah. So beyond that, there are people that defeat 001. For some, is 010. For some, they wake up not even knowing what to eat. True. What can be done to really cushion this effect?
Truth is, for every policy, there's a gestation period between 6 months to 12 months, 2 years. But there are usually quick wins. Unfortunately, we tend to cover our eyes as a government to those quick wins. Now, these quick wins are things that people will lash on while you are developing or working on those policies. For instance, how long will it take to build a factory in a local government? We have 17 local governments, for instance, in Plateau State, or 774 local governments in Nigeria. Give each local government 100 million. And mandate the governor to give a monthly report on that money, which, of course, he will cascade that responsibility to the local government chairman. Some states do not even have local government chairman. It's caretaker committee they have. And those people are there, living larger than life because they know they are tenured. They are trying to get as much there as they can because they were put there as stooge of a sitting governor because they want to make what they can make before they leave. Most of those local government chairmen don't even stay in their local government. They come to stay in the state capital. Now, the question will be, what are the quick wins? Former President Goodluck Ebele provided transit buses. He provided those Shopee buses. What has the President Commander-in-Chief and the 36 state governors done to cushion the effect in the name of palliative? Those monies you have given to some governors, to the state governors. Some people say the governors know how much they will pocket from there, especially governors that this is their last tenure. A state like Kogi that the governor is leaving in January, you gave him 5 billion. And what do you expect? And other states like that. I'm using an example of because that's my state and it's a north central state. And there is the poverty in the northwest, northeast is gradually creeping into north central. Plateau State is the highest unemployed state in north central with 26.5% of unemployment on the plateau. And we are sitting on a gold mine in terms of natural resources, agricultural resources, solid minerals untapped, and no governor has thought of how he can set up an industry on the plateau. While you go to the center to collect your alawi, what are you doing in your respective states? What are you doing? Because as much as we put blame on the center, the governors also share a larger part of the blame because they are the ones that we voted in the state. Some people voted only for state, they didn't vote the presidential. So you swore an oath to take care of these people. So what are you doing? How long should we wait? Because 100 days is enough for anybody to know your policy direction. You are not expecting to perform miracle, but everybody will see your policy direction. Yes, you have cleared civil servant salary, you have cleared pensioners. There is an institution on the plateau that has been owed 48 months of salary. 48 months. Governor Simon Bakola owed them for the 4 years that he was governor. So Now somebody else is on driver's seat. Of course, government is a continuum. But you will see that some projects that were done, governors benefited from it by taking their own kickback. It's in the public domain. So is that how we want to continue to live? And the growth rate is not commensurate with economic growth rates. Our population is growing. Imagine what was spent for census and it never held. Do you think as we are now, you say you want to do census, anybody will listen to you? Well, a lot of monies have been spent. Now the question is, there are quick wins. What are the quick wins? Are you providing transportation? Are you saying that the hospitals will be flooded with drugs, medical doctors, personnel will be employed so that people can access Medicare? Now the school fees of even federal institutions that have been increased, government is saying that they have not increased that institution free, that it is imagine other charges, and you will not blame them because some of those things, the cost have actually gone up in the markets. The cost of running those things they also run fuel, they also run diesel. Where do you want them to get the money from? Cost of printing. How many schools have their own printing press in the school? They have to go and get contractors to print, and these contractors, they buy materials, chemicals to print. The prices have gone up. We don't produce these chemicals in Nigeria. We import them. What is the cost of importation? What is the exchange rate? How long does it take to come? All those things put together is why the cost of living in Nigeria is humongously high. And I was talking with somebody today. The person said Nigerians are so resilient. Unfortunately, our leaders know and they play to that resilience that we claim we have. And that is why we are facing the pain of it. And a lot of people are dying by the day. Somebody was saying a family, married man with children, they will just put water on fire and boil, and they will drink warm water. The man will be telling the children, don't worry, food will come. The day food comes, they will drink warm water and go and sleep in this just. Meanwhile, there are people who do not know that they decide the food they want to eat in this same economy.
That's very true.
It's the truth. And these are the things. So a governor should not be able to go and sleep knowing that some people didn't have at least a good meal in a day.
Well,
you shouldn't be able to sleep.
Let me quickly draw your attention to the presidential election petition verdict. Like from the February 25th presidential elections, like prior to the election, hopes were actually high due to the 2022 Electoral Act that was signed. People were really hopeful, oh, this process is going to be seamless, considering the fact that this is the first time we're introducing digital beavers and all of that, and the fact that promises were made, oh, you'll be able to assess the result in real time through the IREF and all of that. But immediately after the election, we saw how that, in fact, here on ECWA Television, we heard a program, The Choice, where people called to give report of what is happening at their locations. And it was unfortunate that even as at 5 o'clock in the evening, some people say they are yet to even see an INEC official at their polling units. Some got tired of waiting, they had to leave. At some polling units, there were incidences of intimidation. We saw live footage and all of that. But regardless of all of that complaint, we saw how that INEC still went ahead to declare a winner, disregarding. In fact, at the collation center, we saw how some party agents were shouting, no, you are going against the Electoral Act, we will not take this. Nigerians were complaining, we can't access the IREF. This is contrary to the promise that we'll be able to see it and all. So immediately after the pronouncement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the president of Nigeria by INEC, about 5 political parties kicked against that pronouncement. And of course, going by the constitution, you have the right to go to the court. And it almost became like a cliche, oh, go to court. You hear people even using that phrase, go to court. And someone say, when you hear somebody boasting about that, it looks like it's your uncle that is heading the court. So if you go there, you get no justice. But of course, we have a system that operates, and due process have to be followed. Petitions were filed, and on the 6th of September, all eyes on judiciary, Nigerians were actually up and about trying to get the verdict of that presidential election. But the court, talking about the presidential election petition, court actually upheld Tinubu's victory. And when you look at some of the charges, the petitions that were filed, that of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and then PDP's Atiku Abubakar, was almost similar, talking about overvoting, the whole process marred by irregularities and all. But again, the presidential election petition court on overvoting, they said the petitioners failed to establish allegations of overvoting, and then voter suppression. They said the allegation of result manipulation in Lagos was vague. And again, the Presidential Election Petition Court still says on IREF, the issue of IREF, that INEC is not mandated to electronically transmit or transfer election results. They said the glitches experienced during the election was not a ploy to manipulate the results. And another judgment on the 25% vote in Abuja. I think this was one of the issues that a lot of people kept talking about. Oh, the person that must win the election must have 25% in Abuja. But on that, the PEPC, talking about Presidential Election Petition Court, says that FCT has no special status and should be treated like every other state in the country. Securing 25% of votes in the FCT is not mandatory for the presidential election. Again, on the Tinubu's U.S. charges, it says that petitioners failed to prove that President Tinubu was convicted for money laundering. No criminal charge was filed against President Tinubu. President Tinubu did not go through criminal trial in the U.S. And these are some of the judgment that was actually filed. You remember that it was the APM that talked about the double nomination of Shetima, and on that the court agrees with the respondent that issue is statute barred, and they said the petitioner lacks the local standing to institute the petition. And these are some of the judgments that were actually passed by the Presidential Election Petition Court, and it upheld the victory of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Immediately after that, we saw how the president came on board to address Nigerians and also talk about the fact that he wants to build the nation. Other presidential candidates should join him in nation building. But I think it was the Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, that said the process that must bring someone to power must be excellent if you must be called your excellency. But the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, immediately applauded the Presidential Election Petition Court, saying that they actually went the line of rule of law, and he's calling for nation building. But I would like us to watch what the president said immediately after the court's ruling. Let's hear his comments.
Almighty. It's been a very, very strong and emotional journey for all of us, struggling for democracy, truth, and justice for all. Today, we give kudos to the judiciary for their indefeasible commitment to rule of law and to humanity. Thank God Almighty for guiding us this far and protecting us. With your support, joys, and adulation, the theme for Nigeria is for us to pull Nigeria up and be proud of a country. That's the only country that we have. 1 out of 4 black race is in Nigeria. Well educated, dynamic, collaborative, and forward-looking people. Hard-working, no doubt. We have no reasons to be poor. Don't look back. Look forward.
Our gains in ensuring transparent elections through the deployment of technology was heavily compromised by INEC in the way it managed the last presidential elections. And I'm afraid that the judgment of the court as rendered by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal yesterday failed to restore confidence in our dreams of free and fair elections devoid of human manipulations. Like I did say at the beginning of this legal battle, when I instructed my lawyers to file my petition challenging the outcome of the presidential election, My ultimate goal in this pursuit is to ensure that democracy is further strengthened through the principles and processes of fair hearing and justice. Gentlemen of the press, I take great pains to tell you that the decision of the Court of First Instance on this matter utterly fails far short of expectation.
As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and ruling of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered. It is my intention as the presidential candidate and the intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. The PEPC has rendered its judgment, but that esteemed body is not the final arbiter. The responsibility now falls on the Supreme Court. I do know that the judgment is not conterminous with justice. I implore Nigerians to remain focused, steadfast, and peaceful, and to abide by the rule of law and understand this matter has not reached its logical conclusion.
That was the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, while respecting the ruling of the PEPC, still saying that there's need to appeal at the Supreme Court. The presidential candidate of the PDP as well is disregarding the ruling, saying that there's also need to appeal because his whole aim is to ensure that democracy is being strengthened while he went to court. But then the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has also reacted to that, applauding the PEPC, but also like to get the reactions of Nigerians. So quickly, we'll just go on this break. When we return, our phone lines will be open to get your reactions. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on National Talk. We have been discussing the impact of the reoccurring NLC strike, as well as the presidential election petition verdict, alongside Dr. Emmanuel Ideye Shaibu, who has been doing justice to the topic. Well, before we went on the break, you saw the president's comments regarding the PEPC verdict, as well as the reactions by the presidential candidate of PDP and also the Labour Party. I would just like to get your reaction on the verdict, considering the high hopes, the all eyes on judiciaries, and even the reactions from Nigerians.
First of all, let's go back to the election that took place 25th of February. Incidentally, that day that the election result was declared, I was on board a flight to Lagos, March 1st. There was no jubilation. Deep down in his heart, the president commander-in-chief knows he didn't win the election. Let me leave that on the table. And anybody that was expecting that this election would be upturned is a pipe dream. Yes. Because even before the result was announced, the INEC chairman said, go to court. That was a major violation of the provisions in the Electoral Act as amended. INEC did not follow his own rules. So, what would you expect the judges in the presidential election petition court to do? Now, The judgment is a 798-page judgment delivered in 12 hours. It's a public document, and that was why it was televised. It was televised live, but you never saw the face of any of the judge. It was the voice we were hearing. Now, because the Constitution allows appeal, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party or the PDP are exercising their constitutional right. Do not forget, we have a sitting governor in Southeast that was not the runner-up, but the court made him to win the election, declared him as the winner in Imo State, and he was sworn in as the governor of Imo State. He was not the first runner-up. So these are things that even the judiciary, with all due respect, are compromised because they are human beings. They are human beings, flesh and blood. They are Nigerians themselves. So that is why you could see that there is, a disappointment. Even after the judgment was read.
But there are all defenses to all of the petitions.
Of course. And that's the beauty of law. Because everybody sees it from a particular point of view. Now, what you need to understand is there is the preponderance of evidence and the probability of justice. And the judges are only delivering that judgment based on the evidences before them by the counsel of the petitioner and the defendant. So, would you say the judges have their own, they have mind of their own? They do, but there are evidences that are before them. Mind you, this case, the presentation and defense closed some 2-3 weeks ago before the judgment was delivered only the first day because they were studying it. The judges are looking at the preponderance of evidence and the probability of justice. That is where we are today, and that's why the presidential candidate of the two other parties say they are proceeding to the Supreme Court. Let's see if the Supreme Court will upturn the election or upturn the verdict of the PPC or uphold it. And if it upholds it.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello.
Hello, good evening. Please go ahead with your contribution. What is your name and where are you calling from? I think the network is bad over there. Do well to call us back. And please, when you call us, kindly move away from your TV set or turn down the volume. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, so these evidences are what the judges looked at dispassion. That's why it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, 4, 5 judges. And they were able to come up with that judgment. And any lawyer that is going before the court is going with the mind that I am presenting my evidence to come out with a win.
Okay, we have the caller calling back. Go ahead with your contribution.
Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
The major problem we are having, the truth must surely be revealed one day. You see the way people are suffering. People are suffering and they know the truth. They don't want to open it. Life is not like that. At least even though we don't want to fear anybody, let us fear God. Because nobody knows tomorrow. Anything you do, you must surely face the judgment. That's all I just have to say. May God bless Nigeria.
Amen.
That's all the time I can say.
Thank you so much, Justin, for actually calling to add your voice. He said, if you don't fear anybody, fear God.
you see, because Nigerians are a very religious set of people. When they don't have anywhere to turn to, they just say, we'll leave it to God.
It is well.
It is well. And those things are coming from a place of pain. A deep place of pain most of the time. Because, like I said, the President Tinubu knows he did not win the election. I was in Lagos on the 1st of March. I touched down at the airport. No single jubilation. And that is a state he governed for 8 years. And that was the state that was being used as a template that if he governed it well, he would govern Nigeria. Nigeria is bigger than. And he didn't know the import of what it is to be the president of a country until he got to that seat. And that's why you could see that some decisions are taken at the spur of the moment. You dissolve the board of an agency some months ago, weeks ago. Now you say you have reversed that dissolution. Who does that? Who does that? For a president, commander-in-chief of a country as big as Nigeria, 220 million Nigerians. I mean, we deserve a better governance. And for me, some of those policies, can Nigeria wait to see the manifestation? Some Nigerians are already dying for lack of food. Food insecurity has been there, threatening in Northeast. What are we doing? Nigerians do not really care if we have food, shelter, our basic needs are met, but that is even being threatened right now. And that is why you hear what either the Labour Party candidate is saying or the PDP Party candidate is saying, and that's why they are exercising their right to go to the Supreme Court. The truth of the matter is this: we want to see if the judges dispassionately, based on the evidence before them, did the right thing.
Sorry to cut you. Please go ahead with your contribution. Good evening.
I'm a calling from Kaduna.
Okay, go ahead with your contribution.
My contribution is the Nigerian democracy has gone to another level. So the best thing is that we as a Nigerians, let us just pray and ask God for intervention, because the way that we have done the democracy in Nigeria now, I'll try to manipulate the life of we that are Nigerians. So there is no any sincerity in Nigeria politics now. The best thing which they are saying there is manipulation. So we just let us just join our hands and pray so that God will just intervene it for us, so that we will just reach the promised land. Forget about all these things are doing. God just help us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Another Nigerian saying,
go ahead and pray. You know why Nigerians are like that? Because for some of us that are Christians, we believe God rules in the affairs of men. But we need to do our own part sufficiently well. And judges, by our upbringing, are next to God. They should be incorruptible and impartial based on the evidence before them. So are they saying, because that's the questions Nigerians are asking, are they saying that these judges are not seeing this evidence based on these biases?
Frankly speaking, we are disappointed on the Eloma.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Frankly speaking, we are disappointed with the project. The first and foremost, you cannot see their face. They were only giving out their verdicts. If really they are right, or they are doing the right thing, they are supposed to show their faces. And we are disappointed in them because Tinubu himself knows that he is going to be elected. God knows, and Nigerians are aware that he won the election. And they should know that they will be attacked for whatever they are doing. That is my case.
Thank you so much.
I raise my case. Thank you.
Thank you so much for contributing. Another person is saying they should know they will account for
exactly. But you see, the truth of the matter is,
and you know, he talked about the fact that I think this was one of the keys that a lot of people have been talking about. The judges didn't show their face, and somebody was of the opinion, but this is not some theater that you expect, the performance and all of that. No. But others are saying, non-verbal communication is also key. We need to see.
No, in the eye of the law, you don't do that. That judgment has been written and typed, so the judge was only reading what the five of them had concluded and agreed upon. So it's not there that judgment was being taken, decision was being made. The decision has been made and typed. And that's why 24 hours after we could see the judgment on social media.
Go ahead with your contribution. Well, I didn't get that contribution. Do well to call us back. Go ahead.
So you see, many Nigerians really do not understand what the law says. A judge is not supposed to deliver judgment with his eye, with his face. But the truth of the matter is, like I said, that judgment has been written. There was even a rumor somewhere that it was a former minister who is a senior advocate that wrote the judgment some weeks ago.
Judgment. It's God that will deliver us to. How can they be calling results without showing their face? This thing, in fact, God will just help Nigeria. We are dying. Hunger is killing everybody. We are suffering, and they want to judge the matter. They cover their face. They did not prove. They did not prove to Nigeria. They could have proved to Nigeria when they are doing the right thing. Not to stand and praise people we are talking to. You cover yourself because you know that what you did is not good. In fact, it's something God that will judge all the innocent people that are dying of hunger, all the innocent people that are dying of hunger, all their blood will be on their head and their family. That is my prayer.
Thank you for calling. Another Nigerian in pain. Also praying again. God should judge, and she's also concerned about them showing their face. Please go ahead.
Truth is, Nigerians are disappointed, but also there are Nigerians that are happy because the APC.
We saw that on the street in Abuja.
So they are happy. So you can't say that all Nigerians are not happy. The people who are APC members are also happy. But you will know that some of them are being happy on an ignorant basis. They don't even know why they are being happy. They are only why they're happy. They're only happy because their party man was not removed. And I can tell you for free, if the PEPC had upturned this election, APC will appeal it also. It's as simple as that. They will appeal it because it is their constitutional right also that they are not satisfied. But that would have sent cold shivers down the spines of a sitting president, that he is sitting on a keg of gunpowder that's a time bomb. But now the PEPC upheld his pronouncement as president, and the other two runner-up have proceeded to the Supreme Court. What people expected that it would have been upturned at this point while he goes to Supreme Court. That's what people were expecting. Just like you could see the National Assembly election of Senatorial have been upturned already at the tribunal level. Now, making you who is holding the ticket not comfortable already. That means if your case is not good enough, you cannot. The appellant court will also uphold that decision of a lower court, which will boot you out of that seat. And that's what Nigerians were expecting. If this election, if this verdict had gone the other way, you will see a different mood in Nigeria today. But it will also send a signal to the international community. Tinubu is presently in India. Was he around when the judgment was being passed? He was not. Because he knows what will come from it. It's as simple as that. And that's why you could see reactions from Nigerians. But APC members are happy, and they're also part of Nigerians. They're Nigerians.
Well said. You know, again, my concern is at the end of the day is about Nigeria. At the end of the day is about the electoral system or institution. What can be done so that we don't keep going back and forth? I know that from 1999, during Obasanjo, Olufalaye, he resorted to court. Oh, this election was not credible. Down to 2011, 2015, Buhari kept going. We saw how his supporters protested, fought. Some of them died. They didn't even see when he became president in 2015. It was just 2015 that I think President Goodluck Jonathan, it was only during that time where he just congratulated.
That was the only hero of democracy that we have.
After then, it's always this issue of going to court, petitions and all of that. What can we do? Because I said earlier, it's about Nigeria, it's about our electoral institution. What can be done so that we don't keep going back and forth? Because at the end of the day, attention is always moved from governance to power, and then remaining in seat and all of that. What can be done? And we
perpetuate ourselves because we're in seat. The one of the major, permit me to use the word, the major flaw is INEC itself. INEC, they performed below standard, and unfortunately, they didn't follow their own rules of engagement because they had major contributions to the 2022 Electoral Act before it was passed. Part of why the Electoral Act is what it is why 2/3 of the House of Representatives and Senate members couldn't come back because they couldn't scale through in primaries in their states. They didn't scale through. Now, coming to presidential election, INEC itself failed and failed Nigerians. It's not truly independent. There is a remote somewhere that is control. For you to say, even before the final verdict, that go to court as a chairman of INEC speaks so much of your integrity, of a body that's supposed to be unbiased.
Well, our time is actually fast spent, but quickly I would like you to talk to Nigerians, because whether we like it or not, we have a role to play. Earlier on, you're saying how that people are saying, oh, let's pray, God should help us and all of that. What is our role in all of this? Because during election, you see that people come out, they vote.
Yes.
You see people defending people that even did not even perform at the end of the day, promoting them and all. What role do we have to play to make this nation better?
The truth is, these people that we say are good or bad leaders, they came from amongst us. They were living in our community. They were once in the same environment, and possibly they have gone behind to bribe some of us. And we want to be loyal to their bribe. That's why we come to defend them. But again, whatever happens, we are the first beneficiary. We are Nigerians. So, and I don't see the Supreme Court upturning this election. No. Just mark it. I'll come back here to discuss it. They won't upturn the election. Tinubu will rule for 4 years. Mark it. They will not. That's the truth. Because he is still a Nigerian to a large extent. So for me, I have resolved that the president of Nigeria may not be the president everybody wanted, but he's a Nigerian. Let's give him a chance. Because at the end of the day, he will see for himself whether he did well or not. And we will not say at the end of 4 years that he was totally bad. He would have done some little things that are good, but because he's not the desire of many people, we will want to shy away from anything good that he might have done. If the Supreme Court upturns the election, fine, but I do not see them doing that. And Tinubu will rule for the next 4 years. He's the president of Nigeria. We'll queue and we will do our part in our little way, in our desk, because you do not need to be president of Nigeria before you can contribute your quota to the growth and development of this state or the country where you live. So contribute your quota. The hard times are there. He also has made us understand that he feels our pulse. Hopefully, he will do things that Nigerians will begin to have a bit of sigh of relief, and we'll move on from there. I don't see the Supreme Court upturning the election.
Well,
Sincerely.
indeed, all of us have part to play to make Nigeria a better place. We do not have any country apart from Nigeria. Like you once said, if you japa, you still
Jackpada.
Thank you so much for creating time to speak with us. Great analysis. And to our audience out there, thank you so much for staying with us on today's edition of National Talk. Indeed, democracy is a theory that common people know what they want and deserve to get it real good. Until we come your way next week on another edition of National Talk. Remain blessed.